At the beginning of the film, we see a young girl named Sita. Along with her brother, she opens a man's grave and then does something shocking. She lies down inside it herself. Sita isn't doing this for fun. She wants to find out one thing: whether people are actually punished for their sins after death. Her brother seals the grave from above and sits nearby. As soon as the grave is fully closed, Sita turns on her camera to record everything happening inside. But outside the grave, something terrifying is happening. A snake slowly starts slithering down into the grave from above. And the worst part, her brother doesn't notice it, and Sita has no idea what's coming for her. The reason behind Sita's disturbing experiment lies in her tragic past. She witnessed her parents die right in front of her during a bomb blast. Since that day, one question has haunted her: why do good people suffer, while bad people seem to escape everything? She begins to believe that evil people never truly get punished, not even after death, and that good people never get the reward they deserve. But at the orphanage where she and her brother were raised, a teacher named Lillian tells her otherwise, that bad people always face consequences even if it happens after death. Sita, however, refuses to believe this. Determined to prove her teacher wrong, Sita decides to investigate a forbidden place inside the orphanage, a mysterious room no one dares to enter. People say that anyone who goes inside this room simply disappears. Ignoring the warnings, Sita enters the room with her brother Adil. At first, there's nothing but darkness. But as they move deeper inside, something strange begins to happen. They can no longer see each other. They can't even hear each other's voices. Now completely separated, Sita starts to panic. As she moves further into the darkness, she suddenly sees a small child standing inside a tunnel. The child looks terrified, frozen in fear. But this isn't a normal child. It's a spirit. When the child finally speaks, introducing himself in a distorted, eerie voice as Ismail, Sita is horrified. Terrified, she immediately runs out of the tunnel. Outside, she finds Adil waiting for her along with the villagers. They are taken back to the orphanage, but Sita can't stop thinking about what she just saw. One question keeps haunting her mind. Who is Ismail? And why is his soul trapped in that dark tunnel, obsessed with finding the truth? Sita starts secretly following the teachers and staff of the orphanage, listening to their conversations. And one day she finally overhears something that reveals the shocking truth about Ismail's real identity. She discovered that the orphanage belonged to a very wealthy man, but he didn't build it for a good reason. It wasn't meant to help children. It was built for his own selfish desires. He would take in helpless kids and then choose the ones he liked and take them away. At that place, powerful and rich people abused those children. Ismail was one of those unfortunate victims who suffered at their hands. And ever since then, his restless soul had been wandering inside that dark tunnel. Sita learns that this time, Ismail has chosen Adil. The teachers say that after that night, Ismail was never seen again. But Sita knows the truth. She sees him herself in that tunnel. Without wasting a second, Sita runs to save her brother. But before she can reach him, the people there grab Adil. And now Sita becomes a threat to them. That's why they capture her too, and lock her inside a storeroom with sealed doors and windows. Determined to save her brother, Sita refuses to give up. Using her scarf, she manages to break open the sealed window and somehow escapes. As soon as she gets out, the caretaker meets her. She secretly hands Sita some money and important items, helping her escape and save her brother. She even tells Sita where they are taking Adil. While running through the forest, Sita finally reaches the road where Adil is being taken. She throws a stone to distract the driver, and in that moment, she rescues her brother and escapes. After this, the scene cuts forward, 10 years later. Now grown up, Sita works in an old age home. But despite all these years, the trauma of her past still haunts her. She still carries the pain of losing her parents and everything that happened back then. Over time, she begins to believe something dark, that in this world, evil people never truly face consequences. Even after death, they don't suffer, and good people never receive justice or peace. Now she wants to prove this belief, and for her experiment, she chooses the very man who once owned that orphanage, the same man who used to abuse innocent children. At this time, he was living in an old age home. First, Sita gathers all the evidence of his past crimes. Then she drugs the old man and forces him to confess all his sins. Overwhelmed by guilt and the realization of everything he had done, he dies, Lovepie's children were also aware of his dark past, but since he was extremely wealthy, they chose to stay silent. After his death, none of his sons came forward to support him. The old age home ends up handling his funeral. Adil wakes him up one last time, and then he is placed inside a coffin and buried. Now Sita wants to see what actually happens to a bad person after death. So she decides to go to the grave. This is the same scene we saw at the beginning of the movie. Once inside the grave, Sita turns on her phone. Adil tells her that if anything goes wrong, she should call him, and he stays nearby, keeping watch. After a while, a snake begins to approach the grave, which Adil eventually notices. He quickly pulls Sita out. But during the entire time Sita was inside the grave, nothing unusual happened. This proves her theory bad people are not punished after death. The next morning, she goes on a live show to reveal the truth. She even brings her recording as proof. But when the footage is played, there's nothing there. It turns out Adil deleted everything. No one believes Sita. She breaks down, screaming and crying, and confronts Adil, asking why he did this. Adil tells her he didn't think it was right. According to him, if people believe that bad actions have no consequences after death, then evil will spread, and good people will lose respect. He then tells Sita something shocking: she's not a good person either. He says she has only ever thought about herself and failed to properly fulfill her duties at the old age home. His words hit her hard. Sita returns home, looks at her parents' photo, and breaks down in tears. While crying, she suddenly feels like someone is calling her Lao Pai. Following the voice, she walks into a room, but no one is there. Lao Pai is already dead. As she closes the door, she hears the voice again. She turns around and sees a shadow. When she moves closer, she finds an elderly woman from the old age home. The woman is crying and reveals that her husband has been cheating on her. Sita follows her, and they soon discover the truth: her husband is spending time with a nurse. Seeing this, the old woman completely breaks down and starts screaming. The entire old age home gathers around them. At her age, she can't handle this shock. In her pain and anger, she decides she wants to kill her husband. But Sita steps in just in time, stopping her and taking her away from there. Late at night, while this old woman was doing laundry, her ring got stuck inside the washing machine. When she reached in to pull it out, she accidentally hit the power button and the machine suddenly started running. She got trapped inside and died right there in the laundry. As soon as people heard her screams, they rushed in and pulled her out, but it was already too late. Her husband was completely shattered. He couldn't stop crying because he never even got the chance to apologize to her before she died. The guilt drove him nearly insane. Sita wanted to help the old man somehow. Adil's words kept echoing in her mind, so she decided to take a risk. She went to a shaman who lived in the same old age home and asked if it was possible to call the old woman's spirit back. The shaman agreed. Soon they all gathered around a round table with a few elderly people. Candles were lit, setting a dark and eerie mood. But they were one person short of the ritual, so they asked Sita to join. She was terrified. But without her, the ritual couldn't be completed. So reluctantly, Sita took her seat. As the ritual began, something unnatural happened. The spirit of the dead woman entered the shaman's body. The shaman suddenly began speaking in the dead woman's voice. "I won't forgive you, not like this. Not until you kill the woman you cheated on me with." The moment Sita heard this, she knew something was wrong. She immediately told them to stop the ritual, but suddenly all the elderly people began speaking in the same eerie voice. "Kill her, kill that woman." Now Sita felt real danger. She quickly stood up. In panic, Sita lit up all the candles and threw open the curtains, breaking the ritual completely. Then she ran to save the nurse's life. She found the nurse and was just about to warn her when the old man showed up, ready to kill her. Sita quickly pulled the nurse into a room and locked the door to protect her. But they weren't alone. Another man was already inside. Before they could react, he stabbed the nurse in the stomach, killing her instantly. Sita was horrified. The man then asked the old husband, "Why did you kill an innocent woman?" The old man replied coldly, "I don't want to suffer even after death. She told me to punish her, so I did." Hearing this, Sita became suspicious. Something didn't add up. She remembered her own experiment from earlier, but she had never been able to prove whether the dead are truly punished after death. So she started researching online. What she found shocked her. After Sita's show, many people had tried to repeat her experiment, and this time, strange and terrifying things were recorded. From some graves, horrifying screams were heard, while others seemed to find peace. which meant only one thing. After-death punishment is real. Sita was stunned, but then a question hit her. If that's true, why didn't anything happen to Laobai? Determined to find the truth, Sita went straight to Laobai's grave and started digging. She decided to go inside again, but what she saw next was beyond terrifying. Inside the grave, there wasn't even a single bone left, and suddenly the soil around her began to move. As the leaves from the grave started falling on top of her, Sita tried desperately to escape. She quickly dug a hole in front of her and crawled inside. But the moment she moved forward, the soil behind her collapsed, sealing her last way out. With no choice left, Sita kept moving deeper until she discovered a tunnel. And then she went inside. This was the same tunnel where she had once found Ismail. But this didn't make sense because that tunnel wasn't supposed to exist in this city. Sita thought maybe she was hallucinating due to lack of oxygen. But in the very next moment, she heard Ismail's voice. That old, familiar voice made her realize he was really inside the tunnel. As she moved forward, she saw something shocking her childhood. Through a glass window, she saw her parents standing there, waving at her. Sita froze. Tears rolled down her face as she looked at them, overwhelmed with emotion. But suddenly, everything disappeared. The tunnel returned to normal, dark and silent. As she walked further, she began hearing Laobai's voice filled with regret, along with distant screams echoing through the tunnel. Then suddenly, she saw her orphanage friends, and standing right in front of them was Ismail. Sita hesitated. She thought this had to be another hallucination. She remembered something ghosts only exist if you believe in them. So she closed her eyes and convinced herself that none of this was real. But when she opened her eyes again, everything was still there. The orphanage kids, still standing. And now, Ismail stepped forward. He started yelling at her. "Why did you leave me that day? Didn't you understand I was scared? Someone was chasing me." Hearing this, Sita became terrified. And then she heard something from above. A monstrous sound. Something was coming. Ismail looked at her and said, "I'm not scared anymore, and you shouldn't be either." Then he told her, "If you want to survive, jump into the tunnel with me." The tunnel was deep, pitch black. Nothing could be seen inside. But the monster was getting closer. So without thinking twice, Sita jumped, and everything went black. When she regained consciousness, she found herself lying beside Laobai. Sita turned her head and saw him lying next to her. She thought maybe everything she just experienced was nothing but a nightmare. Terrified, she screamed and called out for Adil, but there was no one there. No one came to help her. And then a snake slithered into the grave. It crawled over Sita and suddenly bit her. Before she could react, the snake entered Laobai's mouth. The moment it went inside, Laobai suddenly sat up, and then someone smashed his head with a hammer. Blood splattered everywhere, dripping onto Sita's face. She was completely frozen in fear. But this was only the beginning, and that's where the story ends. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Also subscribe to this channel for more stories like this.